Hello, Jedi Knights and Sith Lords. Welcome to our breakdown of episodes 1 and 2 of Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord. We'll be doing this on a weekly basis for the upcoming weeks. As usual, I'm with my dear friend and partner for this show, Eric. How are you doing, my friend?
Doing good, doing good. A lot of moving parts here in my life, but we're moving
Mm-hmm.
soon. That's why you see my whole background is gone. Yeah, moving in about a month. But yeah, a lot of interesting stuff going on. And you?
Well, keeping myself busy. I got my first 501st troop coming up at the end of the week. Pretty pumped to do it because my father will have his
Oh,
first official troop as well. So
nice.
he saw the true vision of the Empire. So he decided to enlist. Yeah, going to be our first father and son troop, and going to be with lots of friends over there. Yeah, it's gonna
Awesome.
be pretty fun. And what else? Well, I posted last Friday my review of the Commander Cody helmet. It's a nice one, pretty cool helmet. So one that we were expecting for quite a while now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a cool helmet. And once again, before we begin talking about the show, I want to thank Disney Plus Canada for
yes.
being such a great partner throughout this adventure, and we really had a cool time watching the episodes last week. Thanks again.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So let's dive in. Let's go episode one. Now we can get into a little bit
Hmm.
more detail than we did
Yes.
previously. But I thought the best way to start this is for the people who might not have watched Clone Wars, any of the other animated series. And I'm going to put you on the spot, Dom, and have your knowledge bring us up to speed on where we're at. Where is Maul, Shadow Lord, in terms of the timeline? And, how did we get to this part? Because we start off with the heist. He's got
Hmm.
Mandalorians with him. Like, I mean, what's going on here?
Okay, so at the end of the Clone Wars, Ahsoka Tano and Bo-Katan Kryze were able to arrest Darth Maul, and they brought him on board a classic Venator ship. And during the journey back to Coruscant, Order 66 happened, and since Ahsoka was practically by herself on that ship, she decided to release Maul from his cell just for him to wreak havoc on the ship. And he escaped on board a shuttle, and at the time he was captured, he was in control of the Shadow Collective. So the Shadow Collective is um, a partnership between several criminal organizations, the Pikes, the Crimson Dawn, and other
Like an
maybe
underworld
lower
kind of.
grade criminal, yeah,
Yeah.
like Vario
Hmm.
and Demis that we meet in this episode. And there's also the Black Sun involved. Oddly, they're not mentioned in those two episodes. That's weird, but perhaps they're saving it for
For
maybe
later.
season two that was
Hmm.
announced officially last week. Who knows? But no mention of Black Sun for now. But so he felt betrayed by all those groups, and this story takes place about 1 year after Order 66.
Okay.
So, for people to put things in order, maybe during the events of the Bad Batch season 2,
Okay. Hmm.
more or less.
Well, then I
Uh,
guess that's a good segue to where we're at with some of the characters that we see that were introduced in this season,
mhm.
which are the two Jedi's. If you want to give a bit more.
Yeah. So, mentioning Order 66, well, the Jedi are enemy of the Empire. They are wanted. Inquisitors are searching for them throughout the galaxy. We saw some in the Rebels animated series that takes place a few years after Maul, and we also saw Marek in the Ahsoka series,
Yeah.
the live action series.
Hmm.
So yeah, they are basically Jedi hunters, and the only answer to Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah,
So so the two Jedi's that we have in this episode is Devin and
and Master, the full name is Master Eeko-Dio,
yeah,
but for just to
for
simplify
our
things,
sake, yeah.
we'll say we'll stick with Master Daki.
Yeah. I bet that's a true example. Like we see them that they're in hiding, kind of living in poverty.
Yeah,
we see, we see her. I think she was trying to, she was tempted to steal something, steal food, and he's like, oh no, trust in this. So he's really got the Jedi way, but she's the young, kind of like a little bit more hot headed Jedi that
mm-hmm.
we're used to seeing as in some of the other shows or movies and whatnot. So like it was a nice introduction. There's a ton of characters that are introduced obviously in this. I was going to mention that this is a good setup episode that we get to. They're
Yeah.
introduced to our main cast in this obviously. So I was
Just the heist at the beginning, it
yeah.
starts and we have an action scene right from the get go, and did you notice that the wires they use to slow down or even destroy some police ship? It reminded me of the scene. It's in the Dark Knight, the movie with Heath Ledger when he
Yeah.
plays the Joker.
Yeah.
There's like wires and there's a helicopter that runs into a series
Yeah.
of wires between buildings. So it had that kind of vibe in the Maul's gauntlet when he lands at the beginning right after the heist. It looked a bit like the bat wing or the bat jet. I don't know what to call that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it had some Gotham City vibes. Genix is a big city planet. Not as big as Coruscant, but yeah, it looks like a metropolis. So
have we seen that planet in any other series or
first
shows?
time ever.
That was the first time. Okay.
Yeah. So that's fun to discover a new planet.
But you mentioned Maul, like his entrance the first time we see him, was absolutely incredible. I mean,
And
because
even before he lights up his lightsaber, just standing on the ramp,
yeah,
it gave me Obi-Wan Kenobi vibes from the Revenge of the Sith.
yeah,
While he's up there, and when Anakin realized that Padme brought him, even though she didn't know, but he said still, arms crossed. So that's the
and the song,
his nemesis,
the song playing that when we first see him was just like it was just couldn't have been more perfect. And like I watched a few other I guess reviews or just impressions and stuff like that, and a lot of people say that like the feel of this, and you could see it in the first episode, has more of a Lucas kind of like Star Wars feel to it, right? Like it feels like it's kind of straying away from like the I don't know, I like kind of like the Disney era people that like kind of like identified with, but I find that like this first episode had a bit more grit to it. But you have to have that with Maul as well, right? Like it's not going to be, and like we had mentioned in our preview, it's not going to be all fun and games, and we can't be expecting too much humor and lightheartedness like we had in some of the other episodes. But yeah,
and just like the Clone Wars, with the years that it became a little more mature.
Yeah. After the second season, it really took a turn.
Yeah. So I think they're offering us a show a lot more mature than what we had previously in animation, especially for season 1, because the same pattern repeated with the Rebels. Season 1, a little bit childish, but as it continues, it gets more and more mature and more interesting. So
I thought the only one that didn't really do was Bad Batch. I find that stayed very kind of light compared to some of the other ones, but this one definitely, like, the focus on this series, Maul, was definitely a little darker, and it was to be expected. And hopefully, I think everyone was hoping that that's what it was going to be with this series. So other characters we met. Well, I mean, if you want to stick to Maul real quick, is Spybot.
I love that Spybot. It doesn't have a name. It's only credited as Spybot.
That's what I was looking for too. But Yeah,
Wow,
he
I
got a
love
quite a
him.
spicy personality as well,
Oh
and
yeah,
everything. Yeah, so he was. I thought he was kind of like a, um,
I-
I guess not your
I-
comedy relief, but your typical droid, which is gonna like a chopper kind of feel to it, like except like
yeah.
a bad chopper, right? So
Despicable. Yeah, he reminded me. Maybe it's because we're older, but he's I mean, a new generation is going to be Laserbeak from Transformer.
oh yeah, from
So
the
always spying around,
sound
flying.
waves guy there, is that it?
Yeah,
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 that's it. The cassette, the
yeah,
thing was a Condor or something like that. So,
yeah,
yeah, I think he reminded me of a bit of Laserbeak, so spying around, messing with the tech. And any droid that says push Kidu wins
yeah.
my heart for sure. I mean, I laughed so hard when I heard him say that. So
So in terms of other, like, I guess your protagonists, if you want, we had Captain Lawson with two boots, which is kind of like a 1-2 combo there.
yeah,
Was kind of interesting. It's funny. I looked up. I mean, I had recognized Lawson's voice and we had spoken about it, but I went and looked at. I always recognize this guy as the guy who looks like Pedro Pascal to me.
okay.
Whenever I see him, like, I always find, like, if you see him real quick, it's like he's got
Well,
like,
they've worked together previously
yeah,
because he was on Narcos. He was
yeah,
Pablo Escobar on Narcos. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's but I mean, overall for me, like this episode, there was a few key points. I don't know if there's anything you wanna bring up, but I know that for me there was the confrontation that a
Well,
lot of
the meetup, like the mafia meetup. I know when Vario
yeah,
has to sit down with Demas. I mean, it was typical Sopranos
yeah,
or Godfather-ish.
opening the
The
dish and the head is there, like at the
yeah,
droid
yeah,
head,
but
yeah.
Fario seems to be eating like chicken parmigiano right before that. And
Yeah, it was pretty funny with his fork and knife, using his kind of like robotic suit that he was wearing and
yeah,
everything like that. But yeah, so it's
yeah,
and you could see like I mean, Maul was paying attention to everything that was going on, kind of like
hmm
somehow behind the scenes already pulling the strings and trying to like unknowingly, I guess, for them pulling the strings on what's going on. He said he was surprised by Vario's I guess
that he's the one that made it out.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. But
yeah,
it
yeah,
was pretty cool,
definitely.
the little scene when he got shot in the back. And he goes,
hmm
"Hey, don't never shoot someone in the back. He wasn't even in the suit." So I thought that was pretty cool. Um, so there was that part. I mean, obviously we saw shortly after the another bit of a chase heist. Got
That scene was
that
cool, and
yeah.
Maul counting on Master Daki to save the innocent folks to
So
take advantage and escape.
yeah, and that reminded me of something as well. And what was it
Well,
that?
that's reminiscent of Dooku in Attack of the Clones
Yeah,
when he drops stones. Well, he tries to drop some stones on top of Obi-Wan and Anakin were unconscious, and Yoda prevents it, but he uses this
but that
opportunity to escape.
yeah, but that we're jumping ahead to episode 2 now. That's why I didn't have that in
Really?
my,
Ah,
yeah, yeah.
okay, my
So,
bad.
but it's all right. I mean, we're
Sorry.
covering both. We're covering both. I mean, everyone's seen the episodes, but yeah, it's funny because I had the same note about the Dooku thing when
Mm-hmm.
Maul used that to kind of distract him. And he
It's
knew
true.
that he
It's
was going to
true
make
too.
the right. Well, because he identified him obviously as as a Jedi, and then he's like, that he's going to plant his archery. There's no way that he's not going to try to help
Yeah.
those people, and he's going to be able to get away with it. But if we go back to
Well, speaking of the mistake I just did, mixing the two episodes. I mean, those two episodes feel like just one
yeah,
big episodes because the way it ends, I think that's where you were going before I cut you. Uh, when Maul breaks in the police
well, that's it
uh,
because they
department,
apprehended Vario, and they had previously apprehended Devin because of her
she
because she
stole
had
some food.
stole.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So and we had the first episode was ending with her recognizing him as he's kind of sprung Dario out. But there was one key thing that stood out to me in the first episode is when he actually gets to the point where he confronts Lawson. He goes right up to him after
hmm
Lawson had identified him in the hologram and the holograph and all that stuff. And then when they finally go face to face, there's that moment where Maul could have just easily just killed him. he just finished
Yeah.
trashing and for some reason knocks him out. And I'm like, I was trying to understand, like, like why was it
Why?
that, yeah, like why couldn't he? But Maul being Maul, I guess he's got ulterior motives. He's got something else. He's probably got plans for him or something like
Maybe he
that.
thinks he has like for further use. I mean, don't know.
But because he knows that, because I think it was it uh the girl that was with him that said now they're going to alert the Empire, but
Hmm.
but he obviously had not, and I'm sure Maul had noticed that he had not. So he's like, oh, what's going on here, right? Like, so
Yeah, the enemy of my enemy, is my friend type of
yeah,
situation.
so
So
maybe it's something along those lines. I guess it remains to see what comes up in the next episodes. But I thought it was very weird that he had that kind of like face to face and decided not to kill him there. Was there anything else in the first episode that you thought was
well, first episode, no, I have some Easter eggs.
from the
Right?
first? Yeah.
It wouldn't be a Star Wars artifact show
Yeah.
without some Easter eggs. So, uh, Vario species is an Alina, same species as Rats Tyrell from the Padres. The only one who dies,
Oh yeah.
the one who
Really?
explodes in the cave.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, okay. Okay.
same species. The Orabesh on some data pad. I use myself. Try to decrypt all those
Yeah.
Orabesh stuff. So one said classified. There's a TDF on the police uniforms, written in Orabesh. This means Tactical Defense Force.
Hmm.
We also learned a new way to say cheers in that first episode during the sit down. One says
Oh, when Dario.
Chubasa,
Yeah.
and the other one says
When,
Chuba.
yeah, it was when Dario
It
at the
reminded me a bit
supper.
of, yeah, it
Yeah.
reminded me a bit of in the indoor series. Matma said Sagrona and Sagrona Tiba
Hmm.
was answered by her jackass of a husband. So that's two variants for cheers.
Okay.
So pretty funny. And when Maul and his team are rampaging the police department, I had some vibes of the first Terminator movie
Hmm.
when he enters and he shoots every single cop
Yeah.
in that precinct. It felt like that a bit. I don't know for you.
No, I didn't make that association, but yeah, but now that you pointed out, I can definitely see that vibe, and
And it's all in red lights, and the Terminator sees red. So
yeah, but I mean, obviously, the Maul whole series got that theme of the black and red. And I mean, if you look at our
mhm.
layout over here and everything like that, one thing I did notice is after you had mentioned the artwork, the kind of like the like that they were using as a background,
Mhm.
it really stuck out to me a few times because it's
Yeah.
super obvious that like the
Oh yeah.
the rendering, it's not like a 3D background that they use like a nice kind of
It's not
uh
as polished. It's
no,
like more
exactly.
rough,
Yeah,
more edges.
but it gives a good contrast to the characters. It makes them stick out, like kind of like using an aperture on a
Yeah.
camera and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought so. It's funny because like after you mentioned that, and I kind of paid a bit more attention.
Mhm.
If you're looking at the characters, you won't see it, but if you're looking at the background, that's when you see
Yeah.
that it's like some kind of like oil painting or whatever that it looks
When
like.
you see
So
the city and stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really well
Not
done.
more on non-moving objects, I guess.
Yeah. So moving on to episode 2, like you said, I mean, we had that moment where you had that um, moment that kind of looked like that Dooku from episode 2 trying to bring down and saving the moment, but
Yeah.
it kind of sets up to he gets away with Vario and with Devin, and he locks them up, and there's a lot of like kind of cool moments and interactions that are there. But on the other side with Lawson, there's interaction. We get to a bit more about his story and his son,
Mhm.
and stuff like that. I don't know if they gave us too much information, I think, at that point about the mom. I mean,
Mhm.
but they just kind of
We
reference
only
that she's
saw her in a
away.
picture,
Yeah,
and yeah, and we guess that they're like divorced or
yeah, or
not
just
together anymore. But it's very light. We don't have many clues of
no.
of that situation for now.
But so is there anything that you wanted to? Because I mean, obviously, most of the time she's kind of like locked up there. So there's
Yeah, and well, there's the Vario part, because Rookcast is surprised that he didn't kill Vario,
Mhm.
and he says, "Well, we'll see if he can be of some use,
Yeah,
and if he's not, I'll get rid of him." But he comes in pretty handy at the end of the day, and to
he
me, he's the Joe Pesci of the
yeah
story.
he offers a little comedy relief as well because of his like the Joe Pesci from like Lethal Weapon kind of thing.
Yeah,
The
or
third
maybe the Goodfellas type
yeah
also as
yeah
well.
yeah.
Could
So
be
it's
ruthless.
but yeah, I actually I mean I kind of like the character, but like again throughout the
When he
first two
says, "Was I
episodes.
right or was I right?"
Yeah.
So that made me laugh.
So it is funny because he tries to kind of still act like he's kind of like a little bit like but like he's a little bit not upper class but like higher rank, but like he's just they don't, no one buys it in Maul's group.
Hmm.
But you know what? Like, come to think of it, Maul's group and his two um the two brothers that
Hmm.
are there. I mean, the two other I forget the race of Maul, but like the two extra characters. Yeah,
Zabrax.
the other two characters that we see there. I mean, that guy is kind of minigun that he brings out all the time. Looks like it's way
Yeah,
overpowered most of the time. But he always comes out
it's
with that.
Icarius, and the other name is can't remember the other name, but one of them is voiced by Stephen Blum, who voices Zeb in
Oh,
the
really?
Rebels. I bet. Yeah.
Huh. Jeez. Okay. There's no way I would have. So, episode two, like I said, it continues to set up. It was a little bit slower, I think, than
Yeah.
episode one. But I mean, rest assured, like we had mentioned, there's a lot of good
The
stuff to come.
best
Like
is yet
it's
to
oh my
come.
god, yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me, like I'm not gonna get into it right away, but I know when the tides kind of turn for me to make this is like got real, and it's soon. It's not, you don't have
Hmm.
to wait too long. But one
Perhaps
interaction,
even next week, right?
yes, I think so. Yeah. But one interaction that I saw that I thought was interesting was, Maul. I got flashbacks to. I mean, obviously, it's in the timeline. It's later, but um, his interactions with Ezra, and when he first met him, and he was playing like the weak, broken
Hmm.
kind of, but like the manipulative kind of like um,
I'm so weak.
yeah, well, but not so much the weak, but the way he was kind of like grooming them a little bit, grooming Ezra and trying to like earn his trust
Uh-huh.
and all this stuff. And you see a lot of that. I think it was very comparable with Devin, and there was that interaction when she's in the cell, and I wrote the quote, and he's like, he told her, "You may leave anytime you like," and she's like, "Well, I want to leave now, but clearly that's not possible." And the line for me that stood out in these first episodes, he goes, "Well, if that's your point of view, and if I may be so bold, that greatly concerns me." And I'm like, I thought it was so like you could see her start thinking, and it's like he talks about like you're not gonna if you stay with the way of the Jedi, it's like basically he's telling her you're limiting yourself, and you're limiting your power because of the way of the Jedi you've been taught.
Hmm.
But if you can open that door, like you just don't think that you can, but you can do so much more. And it was
Yeah.
basically a metaphor saying you can open that door if you wanted to, and you could do what you want, but you're the one that's setting your own limits when you think about it.
So true.
Yeah, so I thought that
Because
was
post
perfect.
or yeah, because post order 66, they need to repress uh, the way they're using the force. They cannot be seen using the force, so they're getting used to hiding their powers and not using them.
But that you see
And
that though, right? Like in the first episode, and the first time we see Devin with Master Daki, she wants to go and do more, basically
mhm,
by stealing. Okay, it's not the right thing, but like, and he's telling her be patient and just trust that people will be good with you. So he's
mhm,
already limiting her in terms of, and like it you see that later when he's like kind of telling her. And in other words, you're the one that's limiting yourself. You can get out of here if you want to, right?
Yeah.
Which she eventually does, but it's just like I thought that that's what was like opening the key, and it's just the way that Maul is, right? The way that he does that reminded me of how he was with Ezra and stuff like that. Just like it was
And how
classic
the
Maul.
Jedi were with Anakin, how many times he said, they're holding me back.
Yeah, yeah.
I could do so much more, so that's, yeah, it's typical of the Jedi, I guess.
And not being there without her master being around her and being left in the hands of so I first thought honestly that this is going to be like, and I think I mentioned in the other review that like I'm like, oh, not another babysitting thing, like is this going to be like
Mm-hmm.
Maul's going to be babysitting her, but it's not that at all. And I can assure you that it's not going to be that moving forward either. It's not going to be one of those kind of things. So there's a lot of inner conflict I think with her, and I think that there's more to come. So
Yeah, and with that quote you mentioned, I mean, he's already planting some seeds, so
yeah,
because he says, I think it's in when they come back from the jailbreak, he says to Rucas, she could be the apprentice he's striving for. He wants to get a new apprentice and you know give his teachings to somebody else. So
but that's their sales pitch, right? It's a Sith,
yeah,
and others like their sales pitch
always
to any
too.
Jedi is basically you guys you're being held back and you can do a lot more. You can, and
Hmm.
by kind of like trying to show them the door to like having a lot more power,
Hmm.
and that's what seems to be enticing for that kind of recruitment. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
so overall, what do you think of? I mean, if you have any other notes you have for episode two.
Well, aside from the fact that she ends up finding a way to escape from her cell at the
Yeah,
very end of the episode, it wasn't through the front door, but he said the truth. So
yeah, yeah. She
that's why
put
I'm
it. She
saying,
she looked within herself. Like she could have done that the whole time, and
yeah.
so but like I said, for that quote was perfect. I think, and I think it was a good, it was a good setup to what we're gonna be having, I guess, with the conflicts of like many other Jedi's we've seen in any other episodes and series of like they have to
Mhm.
choose their own path of where they want to go and not let themselves be tempted into to
Yeah.
the dark side. So but what did you think overall, though, for like the first two episodes? Like you said, it did feel like it's more of one episode because when I went back and I watched it to have a bit more of a refresher, like it
Mhm.
did. I watched them both like back to back, and it did feel. And you made the kind of like you're referencing something in episode two because it's just like the little chase. Like it does feel like one
Yeah,
big
it feels like the
episode.
continuity. Yeah.
So I mean, what did you think? Because I mean, it's if you look at the scores, I don't know if it was Metacritic on this thing is like scoring through the roof, right?
Rick
Like
Kiger, the guy behind Clone Wars, the Rebels, Bad Batch,
yeah,
and it's Kiger, and now he has his daughter and son working with him. So Sean and Deanna Kiger are also working on the project. So, and he has such a great legacy from not only John Williams but everybody who worked on Star Wars projects.
yeah,
He can nitpick every little theme or every little melody he wants to use, and the sound design is also very cool.
yeah.
There's some sounds that we've heard in the past that brought me back to Empire Strikes Back. When Luke uh, kicks Vader off the carbon freezing chamber,
Yeah.
he jumps down, and there's like a little tunnel that goes between two different rooms. And when he opens the tunnel, the opening the door is the same sound as when Maul opens another door at some point. And oh yeah, it's crazy. I was like, whoa, what's that sound for? And there's gonna be more in the upcoming episodes.
But he's had. I mean,
Oh,
you talk back to this, what we've seen before, and for me, like Maul had his few moments where he had his kind of Rogue One Vader scene, right, going through like
mhm.
a narrow hall or something like that, and just
Yeah,
tearing through people and showing his power and everything like that. So he had
good
a
point. Yeah.
he had a couple of good scenes like that, and that's I think what we wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because in hindsight, like when I blasted through all the first 8 episodes, um, I felt like in hindsight that it was a little light the beginning, but like watching it a second time, I'm like, man, no, there was quite a lot of violence.
Yeah.
But like you said, then like we said before, there's a lot of good stuff to come. So for me, I mean, if if I were to give this a score, I mean, I'm in 8.5, 9, easy for the
Mm-hmm.
first. If we want to call it the first big episode. So
Yeah. Well, I'm in the same bracket as you, 8.5, 9. I mean,
I'm just
pretty
leaving that
good
because
Star Wars.
I'm leaving it because I know that things will
We
get
might
more
top it
interesting.
later on during the season. Yeah.
Yeah, because but I mean, it's scoring really well, which is fun to listen to. The critics have been unanimously, I think, giving it like some people 10 on 10 and like all this kind
Mm-hmm.
of stuff. So I wasn't paying attention to see if it was like off the first 8 episodes or if it was just off the first two.
Yeah.
But what I've seen is that it was being super well received, and maybe it's something that Disney could kind of learn from, as in like what, like we all like the bad guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
So stuff like the Bad Batch is a fun series, but listen, we need these lightsabers. We want stuff. We want a Vader's series, right? We want
Yeah.
like stuff like the deeps that goes a little bit deeper into the bad guys a bit.
Darker, more
Um,
mature.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So because I mean
And
that's
they did a good job keeping it. I guess it's PG, PG-13. It's not R for sure.
no, no, no.
But we know that folks are getting killed, but it's not graphic.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of the pike in the ship, the one that is hanging on in the ceiling.
yeah, and then
That
well that's
and
right
then
after that moment they said it's kind of like got a Darth Vader Rogue One moment. He does
yeah,
that and lifts him and
and
like
we know it cuts him in half, but we don't see it.
yeah, he goes
We see it through
outside
the
the
blur of
window.
the
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So yeah, so I think that they do keep some stuff to but I mean, like you said, we all know what happened to that guy.
Yeah,
He's a shish kebab
he's
or
long gone.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall I think we're headed towards a lot of fun stuff, and the fact that season 2 got renewed before it even got released
Mhm.
is obviously they had some reaction that came out before and
And
must have
for
been
those who
positive.
still watch like Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb's ratings, it's off the chart. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you can't well actually. So I'm gonna go live right now and go look at Rotten Tomatoes and see where it's at.
I think I heard somewhere perfect score. So
That's what I saw as well. And it's still at 100% right now on 29 reviews or
hmm,
29 ratings. Yeah. So the average tomato meter is 100%, and the popcorn meter, whatever I think, which is more the audience, is at 94.
uh,
So yeah,
that's pretty epic. Yeah,
I don't give much kind of like
me
when
neither.
yeah when it
I
comes to
like to
that.
make an opinion of my own when it comes to that, but
Be, yeah, because I mean it's hit or miss, right? With tomato, it's Rotten Tomatoes. It's either you say it's good or it's bad. It's like
mhm,
so it's, and I've seen way too much stuff on there which is just contradicting itself, and
yeah,
yeah, but it's good. I mean, when both scores are the same or close to the same, then that we're not dividing like either the fan base or anything like that.
mhm,
Everyone unanimously is giving it a good positive. We're talking about 100% and 94%. That's really good. Where you see other
yeah,
stuff is like 95% and then 60%. Like you don't know what to believe anymore. But I can't imagine anyone being a Star Wars fan watching this and not being completely satisfied with what we got.
definitely.
So um, what do you want to do moving forward with this?
Yeah, well, let's ask our audience what they want. We briefly discussed it before beginning to record the show, but we would like to ask you guys, would you like if we went back to the live version of the show so you could directly interact with us? Let us know in the comments of this review. And if there's a demand for a live version of the show,
We'll
we're
make it work.
both comfortable and we'll make it work for sure.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's going to be every Tuesday, I guess, right?
should be.
Unless something major happens in our lives, but it should be.
Yeah, we'll
Every,
set, if we decide to do it live, then we'll obviously we'll put it out there and we'll let people know in
yeah.
advance. Otherwise, I guess the pre-recorded versions like this one, you'll get them on Wednesdays,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah. So
Yeah.
all right,
So yeah. So if you want to make sure not to miss anything, check out the Star Wars Artifacts Facebook page and Instagram account, and we'll give you all the info of the next rendezvous.
sounds good. All right, well I'll let you talk us out.
All right. So well, thanks for watching. I hope you had as much fun as we did, both listening to us and watching the first two episodes. And uh, for Eric, I'm Dominic. May the force be with you always.